Hi everyone, welcome to Design Upgrade and thank you so much for tuning in. Just wanted to inform you that this video lesson is part of a larger online course, which actually itself is one of many other courses that you can find on our main site courses.design-upgrade.com. Hope to see you soon there, and now please enjoy the video and also leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Alright, welcome to this last example. In this chapter, now we will try to combine everything that we learned and actually model something that is something resembling architecture. Now it's not the best design. As you can see, it's actually not very nice if you look at it from the outside, but the beauty might be more of the inside. And we just want to use this example to create some more complex intersection methods, explore that, but also explore in the column how we design it, all the stuff that we have learned so far. And then start to array those columns and then create these intersecting spheres to then generate maybe some arrayed cutouts, as you can see here on the top, and looking at offsets, etc. And then just in the end having something where the interior space at least looks a bit more intriguing. The outside again is maybe not as nice as it could be. So let's start to do it. I'm going to open up a new canvas in Rhino. Just make sure to hit your unit settings and go to meters, because now we're actually designing in architectural sense. And let's first of all concentrate on the column. Yeah. So I'm going to create a new layer and say columns 2D, or 2D actually, 2D columns. All right, let's go here. And now we want to go to top and let's start to model our columns. Polygon start is 0. And I want to have a polygon with the distance or radius of 0.3. That should be good. And numbers of sides should be 6, otherwise you have a different output. You could also do it with that. Play around with 5 maybe or 7. Just place it there, and now I want to create circles. So I'm going to go to circles and let's do one here, and let's give it, and let's say 0.075, something like this. And then this guy here, I want to say 0.1. So they're different, yeah? Like so. All right, now I take these two guys and I say array polar. I do not have the center point, so I know it's 0, but click this guy, area centroid, to just have the point there. Select these guys, array polar here. Number of items, actually just 3 this time, but 360 rotation, yes, and I'll get all of those guys. Beautiful. And enter. Now, I do not want the hexagon shape, I want to create a fillet. And I'm doing it a bit faster to not bore you. Now the fillet radius, again, if it's 1 right now default, that won't work. We need to scale it down to the scale that we're using. 0.1 should be good. Let's try that. 0.1. This guy and this guy. Super. It works. So say repeat. Say fillet. And 0.1 and go all the way like so. Just the outer side. You could also array that. All good. Select everything. And now hit curve Boolean. Exactly. Inside. This is what I want. Enter. There you go. Perfect. Now this guy, select it, say lock. And even though it's not perfectly after following that, it's good. Delete this stuff. Not the point though. Yeah. And now we have our interesting looking column shape. Yeah. Unlock. Now that's number 1. Now let's try to also have a circle. So just draw a normal circle. This is the center. 0.35. Let's say that. Now we are already building our different levels of the column. I will show you that. One last thing, rectangle. I want to do a rectangle center. We want to start from a center position and then span our rectangle. 0.9. Enter. 0.9. Enter. And you can see now the different levels coming together. Speaking of which, if I select everything, zoom extend, yeah, set S, shortcut, boom. Take off this stuff, these two curves, push them up by, let's say, 0.3 upwards. This guy, I want to now extrude, curve. I want to have a solid, yes. I want to delete the input, yes. And I want to say 0.2. Voila. Change to shaded. We want to take this guy, this curve, extrude it also, extrude curve. I want to extrude it now, catching this point, and solid should be yes, delete input, yes. All good. Beautiful. Yes. Yes. Now, first thing, fillet edge of my cylinder here. And the radius we have 10 centimeters after overall size. So let's say 0.04, sorry, it's 4 centimeters. Yeah, enter. Select both edges, enter, enter. Voila, now we have a nice, more interesting looking base of our column. Now we want to do the chamfer edge, that is. And I want to chamfer, yeah, well, first of all, the distance. Now 20 is the overall thickness, so let's use something on 0.09. Yeah. Take all of these guys, but again, we do not want to do that like this, so I want to say face edge. Select maybe both, why not? Yeah. Enter, check it out. Okay, are you happy with that? If you want, you can still change it individually. So maybe here on this position, I want to change it. Click on this guy and let's type in something. Let's say 0.04. Enter. Again here, click this guy, 0.04. Like so. And maybe that's fine. Here I can now change and say 0.04. Not sure how this will look like. We will see in a second. 0.04. And let's actually just continue on here. 0.04. 0.04. And just one more guy here. 0.04. 0.04. Now we are over designing this thing, but just so we understand it a bit. Enter and voila. This looks very interesting. Just wanted to show to you that you can do this. And rendered. This is our beautiful complex base already. Superb. Let's go back. Now I want to actually create a line starting from my center point, vertical, hit that, and let's give it 7. Let's make it a huge column actually, yeah. Now take all of this good stuff, yeah, go to front and let's say mirror. I want to mirror from my midpoint, mirrored upwards. So I actually have it now on the lower side and on the upper side there. Now I want to take this guy, this curve, and I want to copy it downwards. So copy from this point, vertical, hit vertical, yes. And try to hit the mid, like so. I think you already know what I want to do. I want to loft that now. So let's say record history, loft, this curve, and this curve, none, this curve. Yeah, okay, should be fine. Enter, and this already looks fine. Normal, just leave it as that. Okay, this looks a bit slim. So now, because we have record history, we can take this curve and scale it up. Scale it up with your gumball or any other way. If you want to use your gumball, hit your shift button first, press and hold, and then you have a uniform scale, and then you can make it a bit fatter. Maybe like this. This is a bit too fat. Just play around with that. Would be interesting to see what you come up with, but this already looks good. Like so. And again, the nice thing is you could still reshape it by saying on the lower, actually it's a bit fatter. So maybe I want to put it upwards like so. And you have a non-uniform scale, that is, yeah. So just play with that as you go along. I like it like this. Okay, happy. Now we have our beautiful column already shaped. Yeah, looks very designy. Does not look like an old school straightforward column, but that's good. We are not trying to do that. And let's take this stuff and say group. Voila. So we have now our basis column set. Now we want to do an array, and I'm going to show to you now how to do that. All right, good job. So now look at your designy column. Yeah, nice base, interesting shape, not as straightforward. Got that. Go back to shade it. Now, taking this guy, we want to create an array. And an array in 2 dimensions. So in this direction, we type an array, and not the array puller, normal array. Select the object to array, this guy. Now the numbers in X, 7. Numbers in Y, 7. Numbers in Z, 1. You could also scale it up in the Z, having more floors, but right now, let's not do that. So 1. The spacing. How much is the spacing between each object in the respective dimension? Well, again, 7, 7, and now you have it. You can still play with that. In Magenta, it's in a preview mode, so you could say maybe in Y I want to only have 5, for instance. But right now, let's keep it to 7. but you can change it dynamically, right? And once you're done, enter, boom. Now we already have our columns, and actually I did a bad job. I should have done a 3D columns first. That's my mistake, but I mean, should be fine. Let's not worry too much about that. Now the next thing, you can already see it in rendered. This is kind of a nice array now, no, a bit more complex as it is. But now let's say I want to go to top, shade it, and I want to create kind of this, what I showed you before, also some arc segments where I want to also have my columns, right? And I'm going to show to you now how to do this. So the usual way would be to maybe take this column, say array polar, yes. Then pick a point of your middle, let's say here, like so. Then I want to define how many items I want to have. Let's take 7, yes. But this time I want to have it maybe defined from this to here, right? And this will then span exactly 7 pieces. I do not do 360 rotation, but I gave him a precise angle that I want to have. Now this works, and you will see that something odd will happen though, that it's not perfectly aligned. I mean, this does align, but this is not as aligned as you would like it to be. And I'm also kind of found a bit weird the way that it's rotating the geometry. So let's say escape. I want to show you now an amazing tool, which is under transform, and it's a bit more advanced, which is a flow. Yeah. For that, let's go and create an arc center. We need a center to create our arc. Well, let's take, let's say project. So it's actually projected down on our XY plane. And this is the start. And I want to create an arc from this point all the way to this point. And right now, ortho is on. Let's take it off. Here on this circular arc, I want to maybe place my columns. You know what? Let's actually change that. I want to maybe do a bit different, the design. I want to do an arc again from this point, but now taking this as my point. Now I'm going to freestyle a bit, not sure what will be coming out of this, but we have to play a bit. So this is my arc, right? And I want to align now columns to that. And I showed you that if you do the polar array, it's not going to be beautiful. So if you take this arc, say length, you get the length. So it's right now, in my case, 34.66. Just go here and copy this guy. You can, in the command line, copy it. Now it will be remembered, right? This guy, copy. Now, I want to show you the flow command. The flow command will allow you to take a set of objects along base curve and then orient them on a target curve. It sounds complicated, it is. So let's actually just, first of all, create a line, simple line. And you would assume that I could just create a line from this point to this point, yeah? And then hit the flow command, flow. Select the objects that I want to orient. Actually, I just want to orient these 3, yeah? Enter. My base curve I just drew is this guy. And I want to, now the target curve, it's already jumping to the next one, is this guy. If I do so, it doesn't really work the way that I intended it to be because I want it perfectly linked to my initial curves. So let's undo that. The problem is that this length of the curve and this length of the curve are not the same. So just take this guy, say scale 1, go back to your here, first point, end point, and then for the length, just hit paste. This should be 34.66 something, yeah? So now you can see that I have matching the length of this curve to this curve. Now I want to center the middle of my linear curve, move, catch the midpoint, and put it to this midpoint here, yeah? So it's going to be now extending this curve, but now flow, this guy, enter, base curve is this guy, target curve is this guy, and now this is a much nicer kind of orientation scheme. Now it's matching actually very good. It's not perfect, but it's better than what I had before. All right, so that's good. Now take this stuff and now say array polar. We hit our center of our column scheme here. We want to have number of items. We want to have 4. And we want to have a 360-degree rotation. And now we have it pretty much as defined here. enter. All right, now that is good, yeah. Now another thing that we need to do is kind of create a rectangle. So I'm gonna go to rectangle, now corner to corner, hit the point here and span it to the curve here. Okay, so now you can see we have a new layout and I'm excited because I didn't try it out. Hopefully it works. Now I can first of all go to top and let's actually create our projection of our roofs that we want to have and make it understand how this actually could work. Project is still on. So I'm gonna take a circle. I want to start from the midpoint here. And the nice thing that I want to do now is to find kind of an intersection. So I'm gonna try to locate this point as my circle, yeah? Here, and I'm gonna go here and say circle until, and I'm gonna find my circle here, right? So I will have an intersection here. The one thing that I'm seeing now is that this doesn't really work. That's the problem if you freestyle it. So let me just delete this stuff and also this stuff and this arc, sorry. And I want to do another circle starting from here and then actually catching this guy. Yes, and I want to now take my rectangle and say trim this guy. And this is, let's say, our new arc. And I want to now place these 3 columns also onto this guy. So I need to, again, get the length. Copy that. Yeah. Now we are a bit more intelligent, so I know that I just can create a line starting from here, let's say, and lock maybe with auto this direction, and then just paste my length. I say here, and then I just take this center midpoint and just align it to my column, like so. So then we just hit flow again. Flow. And I want to now take actually those 5. Yeah. These guys. I want to flow them on my new curve that I just drew and following this guy. And now we should have 5 pieces. These guys kind of align, which is kind of nice. And this setup, all of this good stuff, I now again do an array polar. Bring my center point, 4 items, enter, enter. Voila, this already looks kind of better than my previous design, I guess. And now we are pretty good to go. So we can create a new layer called roof and just take these circles and put them into roof. Change, go to 3D columns, and we can now create our, let's say, floor. Yeah, floor. Let's go to the green one. So we can select all of this good stuff here, yeah, and create a curve Boolean. Curve Boolean. Click inside, here, 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 here. Now we have this nice outline, enter, and you have your outer boundary. And I want to select this guy, go to roof, say copy object to layer. So we have a copy later on. And now let's do an offset first of all. Yeah? I want to do an offset of this guy by the distance of 1. Looks good. Let's do that. All right. Now this guy can delete. Yeah. And here, let's do a multiple offset. Let's create some stairs. Multiple offset. Offset multiple. Let's not overdo it. Let's say 7. It's a magic number here. And the distance is 0.3. Should be fine. And click outside. You get the many of those guys. Yeah. Okay, so let's select these guys, not the last one here, and move them down. Using your gumball, minus 0.2. Should be fine, like so. Now deselect, press and hold your control button, this guy, and now do the same routine. Move it down, deselect this guy, move it down. Deselect this guy, move it down. We're basically creating our steps here. All right, there you go. We have our steps. Select everything. We are in floors, yes. And let's just say planar surface. We have our surfaces. Now we select cell curve. We lock it. And we select our surfaces and we extrude it. Extrude the surface. Direction. Both sides solid, yes. Delete input, yes. And direction, we say minus 0.2. And just like that, we should have now beautiful stairs leading up to our design. This already looks a bit more promising than my other one. Let's continue on. Hopefully it doesn't backfire now that I did this freestyle when I go to my roof. Okay, so that is done. We now go to roof. Sell the objects in roof. Yes, and let's move it up vertical. And let's get rid of project. Move it up to our upper columns here, like so. Okay. All right. Now, what I did here was I did an offset. We want to keep that also. So offset this guy roof by 1. Super fine. This should actually match this guy. This one I can just for now hide it. And now what we want to do is just basically create spheres. So let me just get rid of floors and also our columns. And now let's just create spheres. And we need to find a center point. So maybe the columns I can leave. Get the sphere command. And now the middle of this guy is here. So I go all the way until I find this point. Yeah. Then I can take this guy and find the point here. And this guy I can just array polar here for items. All good. Now, interesting thing I want to show to you. If you get rid of your columns, let's see, we want to split all of the bubbles here, right? So now we want to trim. Say trim. We could use the IP. Yeah, it's infinite plane. We could create an infinite plane basically. Let's say we do that actually. Use the 3 point method. Let's get 1 point, second point, and then the third point. Now we have created an infinite plane. We say enter. And now we can split our objects on the lower side. Voila, done, enter. Now that's already good. Now what we want to do is trim all of this stuff here, the middle things that we do not want. And I showed you some trim methods, but now an interesting thing also is the intersect. Select all of those guys and set intersect. And you will find the intersecting curves. While they're still selected, you hit trim. And you just trim away all the stuff that you do not want to see. This guy I do not need. I do not need this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. What is that? This guy. And now you already have a beautiful interior space. Now we take all of this stuff here. We do a join. We merge all faces. To make it just one, but actually it is already one. We take this here, the outer line, say planar surface. And now, you guessed it, we select this guy and we just say trim. And voila, we have a very interesting interior space going on here already. Yeah, so this is good. Let's go to roof actually and create sublayers. One more, say curves. And solid. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it because I want to say sell curves and put them into curves and just disable that. Now we take these two guys, we join them. So actually it's like one piece. Yeah. And let's bring in the other stuff to see how this already looks. Floor and rendered. Now this already looks a bit better than my previous version, I would argue. Now we're almost there. We get this interior space. One thing that I forgot, just put this guy to solids, change. And I want to show you something, shade it. We need to take away some stuff, right? So get away of floor, go to top. And you can see that these guys they don't have any purpose, so I can just take them away. This column has no purpose. This guy arguably has no purpose. All of the other guys have a beautiful purpose. So let's bring in everything again. Rendered, floor, solid. All right, and actually what we could do now is simply hit our offset surface. offset surface, delete the input. Yes, I want to have a solid. I want to have cornered. Yeah, why not? Distance. Let's take distance to 0.3. Let's not make it too fat. Delete input, yes, and hopefully this works. And voila, we have already a much nicer geometry there. No, so this looks actually kind of nice. Good, well done. Save it actually. Gonna save this. Columns 2.0. All right, and to create kind of the cutouts, we have different options to do. Let's create a new sublayer and roof and say openings. Want to select that layer and let's get rid of the solids. I hope you have the same structure. It helps really. Go to top, then get rid of floors so we actually see our curves that we have here that define our roofscape. Now what I want to do is just create a circle at the quad, and let's say 1.5 as our circle, and I want to move it in somewhere along inwards. Yeah, so you just have that circle there. Now we do an array polar. We select this guy. We get a center point, the mid, because I already have it. For 6 arrays I want to have, and I want to get rid of this inner one because I do not need that. Gonna give this a different color so you see that I'm clearly in a different layer here. Yeah, and again, this guy we could then just take, do again an array polar. Now I need to find the center point here. I do not have it, so I'm just gonna do my smart track, put that on, catch this quad, and then I get this intersect. Boom. Number of items 4 because I only have 4 sides. 360 rotation, all good. That's done. Now we want to do the same thing, but for the bigger one. For the bigger one, I only have the option to do my circles kind of here, right? So let's just create a circle, like maybe here on the quad. Let's do it with 2. It's a bit bigger. Should be enough. It's a huge cutout. Rotate. Again, center. Here, rotate this guy, and then find the intersection there. Now I want to move this guy maybe inwards about, yeah, inwards about this threshold. Yeah. Array, polar, again midpoint, boom, smart track, enter. 4 is perfect, 360 degrees, all right, have it. And if you want, we can just do a bigger one with, let's say 3 maybe here. 3.6 is a lot. How much does it look? 3 is too much. Let's say 2.5. Should be okay. Now these are our cutouts. The easiest thing would be now to just select these guys and just do an extrude curve. Both sides solid, yes. Just extrude extreme, yeah. So bring back our solids, and now we can create our cutouts here. Pretty much, yeah. So just say Boolean difference. This guy, difference that with these guys. And yeah, we're done. It's not the most beautiful shape we could have done, but I find it is okay to understand also the different, all the features that we have learned just to create this overall set. We have our detailed columns, and if we go inside, it's already looking like a nice interior space. No? So, do I have it up there? Yes, I have it. We can also go to properties and change the lens length a bit, 35, so we see more of the space. And yeah, well, we could now enter the space and look at it, looking already a bit nicer, and we had understood it, how to do it with the stuff or all the commands that we have learned so far. We have a nice situation here. So really a good job if you have managed to do this. This is kind of okay as an example, I would say. I have a small mistake here. Now I'm going to take everything. I need to push it down by minus 0.2 to actually see my base beautifully there. Now it looks better. I knew something was off. So now we enter it. We can bring in the sun. We have the sun on. Cast shadow, boom. Now we already have that. So just put in a sun. If you do not have that, just go to this tab, sun. It's a manual control. If you want to have it not as steep, we can also change the angle. So we get some shadows actually there on our beautiful geometry, and change the background to be something so you actually see it. Display, use render settings, solid color, and there you go. Right, so you can see our holes casting the lights there. Very nice, very crisp. So beautiful job. Now let's go to the next chapter.